I think in a way we were blind on the set. It's why I'm doing so much takes, because we are blind in a way. We don't know. And I hate when the directors say, okay, baby, I know exactly what I want. You know, many directors are like this. And I don't like so much when women directors say, okay, I want to show the perfect victim or the perfect woman, or, you know. I'm Justine Trier. I'm the director of Anatomy of a Fall. And I'm very happy to be here to present my movie. I think it's not always for good reasons. It makes you in very special position, like a voyeur. I'm very interested by very simple story, not very exceptional. So what I'm looking for is just, okay, how it's going to be good in the day and the day after the mess. And of course it's a mystery and always very interesting, but I'm not very interested by you know, blood and very ugly things. I think it's just it concerns everybody. You can be that people, and people are obsessed by this because they look at a mirror in a way of them. So. But sometimes it's really not interesting, and just you know, like vampire who needs their blood every day. You know, and it's I don't need that every day. But I think a lot of people are watching this for having their dose of blood. Yeah, I want to know if O.J. Simpson. Now I know that O.J. Simpson killed his wife, but. You know, there is a lot of cases that, yes, of course, when you are not sure about the end, it's my favorite case, of course, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, but I think Anatomy is based on a lack of images, you know, so all the movie is built on the lack of things. And there's two kind of movies. The first one is to, okay, I bring the spectator with me and I just follow me and I will show you the truth at the end. And I think this movie is in the second category. You have to work on doubts. And on this movie, what is really interesting is the idea of there is not one truth, you know. There is a lot of truth, and you have to manage with this. And this couple is very, is not so, they are unusual in a way, you know. And I think the idea of dealing with that lack is really the base of the project, yes. And of course, the sound is really important in the movie, and I think the sound recording make the spectator in the position to fantasize, you know, and to imagine the worst. When you see a scene very violent with the picture and the sound, you are limited in your position. But when you just remove the picture, it's really worst for me, because you can fantasize. And actually, when you start to fantasize, you imagine the worst. I know the answer, of course, but I think I put it aside a long time ago. And when Sandra was asking me just 2 days before the set, she was she was anxious, because she said, okay, if she did it or not. And I said, okay, play it like an innocent, because it was the main thing for me. When you're doing a movie like this, in the genre movie, there is a lot of other movies. So you have to find a way to do your movie, you know. And I think there's a lot of things that I wanted to avoid, like doing very duplicitous thing, you know. I'm doing something, but I'm the mysterious woman, and so I think I asked to Sandra to be really really honest. It's strange to say that word, but really honest in her way of playing. And I chose at the end in the editing process with my editor all the documentary takes, you know, all the most accidental takes, you know. I didn't want to do a movie very smooth, you know, because it's so often that you saw that kind of movie. It's very smooth, you know. Even in the courtroom, always it's like, you know, the light is put like if God is talking, you know. It's very symmetrical. So I tried to do the opposite and to find a way to be much more dirty, but yes, in a way. We found him by accident. It was just with the sound, because I didn't choose him with his image, but people just was hearing the casting and say, okay, this boy, the way he's speaking is really different because he's like an adult, you know, he's different. He was so involved. He has a blind uncle that he was very close to his uncle, so he was very used to all these things, you know. He was amazing. He was a nerd in a way, you know. He has no cell phone. He was different, you know, very different from every boy that I met at that moment. Yes, I want something new on set. I'm obsessed by taking, a state of grace, a state of something, you know. And the more I'm getting older, the more I'm conscious about my job is to create that thing. I make many takes, you know, so actually I would have loved to do very few takes, but I can't because all the time people are so interesting in, you know, in the 20, 22, 23 takes. Of course, it's so different because people drop everything in a way, and the skin is changing, you know, when you have a take, when you shoot a take just before somebody's just be in a hurry or just quiet, the skin is changing and everything is much more interesting, I think, yes. So it's not always like this because Sandra Hüller, it's the opposite. The first takes are often very interesting, but yes, with non-professional people or with children or with animals, or of course it's different, yes. Mm-hmm. But I like so much to mix people to, you know, to everybody is not in a comfortable way to doing things, and for me it's the best way to not just filming the script. That is for me like this, you know. Why it interests me a lot in courtroom movies, it's just because fiction, when I was younger, I thought it was the place where truth emerged, but now yes, of course, it's not the place for that, it's a place for fiction and telling the best fiction, you know. There's two fictions all the time, and it's the worst thing for Sandra because she's in a very difficult position. In a way, it was very interesting for me because I could have tell a story, you know, just inside a house and to explain, okay, a couple, and but to go through the courtroom, put my main character in a very interesting situation to justify herself all the time and to be dispossessed of her narrative, and that situation is really interesting, I think, because I think Sandra want to be very honest in a way, but all the time her life is seen by the society and the moral, you know, and it's really interesting, I think, because everybody wants to put her in the boxes, you know, and say, okay, your sexuality is like this, your your success novelist, so you control fiction and control the language because so I think it was very interesting to add these things in the difficulties, of course. Yes. Yes, of course. I think she's a woman and she's judged like a woman who are not a good victim, who are not the perfect victim because she's not crying all the time. She's tough. She's suspicious because all she has warps against her in the courtroom. And it's really interesting, I think, the thing she's not the good victim, the perfect victim. She's seen like a person who could manipulate other, But I didn't want to do a movie on the perfect woman, who's just a victim of the society, For me, Sandra is not an angel. And I think it's interesting to draw that kind of character as I was a woman director, I don't like so much when women directors say, okay, I want to show the perfect victim or the perfect woman, or, So I think Sandra is an artist, and in a way, she's not a monster. And you're right, she's seen like this sometimes, but she's not. She doesn't ask for anything. She takes everything, and she's playing like many men. She's doing like many men did before. But yes, of course, she's unusual, and in that way, she's judged much more. Of course, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I worked with her before on Sibyl, and she blew up my mind at that moment because she was so involved on a little smart part. And yes, I was thinking about her because I was like, okay, how a spectator could be 2 hours and a half or 3 hours, I don't know, in a movie like this, being really interested by a woman who's who's a mystery and not in a bad way, not in a... So yes, she was in my mind, and she never played with, a seduction way of doing her job, And it's very rare with actresses and actors, She was like this, without makeup. She was like, okay, you want makeup, no makeup, it's my... Okay, do what you want. It's really rare for directors. I thought it was very modern, very contemporary to show a woman like this playing like that kind of part, And after, yes, she worked a lot before. She learned French, of course, a lot. She was very involved in that part. And when she started the shooting, she always said, okay, Justine, let me just propose you something first. Don't talk, just let me propose you something. So for me, it was luxury, Not all the time, but at the beginning, yes. All the first part of the shooting on the chalet, all the scene in the chalet, she had very good feelings. But on the courtroom, sometimes we are not agree. She was obsessed by saying, okay, I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry. Because she has to cry a lot. She had to cry much more than what she did. And yes, and sometimes for the fight scene, with the husband, she had very precise idea, very interesting. I asked for her to make some funny things sometimes, and to switch on funny and dark and funny things. And she said, no, I think I propose you to do very first degree everything, and I think I chose it at the end in editing process. So I think she has sometimes very good intuition, and sometimes yes, I said, okay, Sandra, it's not a good idea. I think you're too tough. You have to find something softer. And I said, but if I'm in front of my child, I want to not showing my emotion. And it was a big decision to say, okay, to find the good line, And yes, but it was the question all the movie, and the editing process at the end, we organized a lot of screenings in front of people that they didn't know anything, to know if she was too guilty, not too guilty. No, always we were obsessed by her and the perception of her. So I think in a way we were blind on the set. It's why I'm doing so much takes, because we are blind in a way. We don't know. And I hate when the directors say, okay, baby, I know exactly what I want. You know, many directors are like this. And I tried to do this when I was younger, but now I'm very humble. On set, for me, it's a place where you are searching something, but you don't know. You know, and when you are obsessed by one idea, of course, it's sometimes I'm like this, but you have to, you know, to be very like an animal, to find to catch everything that you can, because in editing everything is new. And honestly, most of the time I'm wrong on set. When the script, you know, I don't know in English what you said, because in French it's the script girl. But the person who writes everything on the good takes or bad takes. But every time my editor said, okay, it's bullshit, because it's not the problem of the woman, it's the problem of the movie, because everything is moving. And it's why I'm doing a lot of takes, and I don't like it, because I wanted to do it in film first, and my producer said, okay, you're too expensive. You're too expensive. You can't do this in film, because you are doing too much takes. I spent a lot of time when I was young in courtrooms, so I knew a lot. But we worked a lot with Vincent Courcelles-Labrousse, a French lawyer, who explained us everything, and because we had some very bad reflex, came from the US movies, you know, like Objection, Votre Honneur, and stuff like this. And we had to put it aside and to say, okay, how it is exactly in France, and to not copy some US movies. But you know, in a way, I'm not so fan of US fiction or foreign fiction. I like very much documentaries, but in fictions, courtrooms, actually I don't like very much, because it's always like if God is talking with all the things. It's too religious in a way, you know. I don't like it. And all the time I went in the courtroom in France, I was very, very interested by the messiness. People are hungry. People are, you know, are tired. So I was looking for that kind of atmosphere, yeah. I'm so lucky woman now. I'm the third woman to win that, and I'm entering in the J Club, you know, with Julia Ducournau and Jane Campion. I want so badly to continue my career in the same way, you know. We are so alone in that profession, you know, all the time. It's really a few part of my work to be exposed like this. So now it's very different, of course, because the movie is so exposed in the world. So it's really, really amazing, of course. And I'm very proud of one thing. It's not that prize. Of course, I'm proud of that prize, but the main thing is I was very surprised too, because the audience came for me and to say, okay, it's my life. All the time people are telling me, okay, it's my life. It's my life. It's so strange, you know, because you can't imagine that when you are in the writing process, you know. And people identify themselves a lot to that couple. And for me, it was really, really strange, because in a way they are not so common as a couple, you know. It's a couple of creative people, and it was, for me, it was very, very moving for me. Of course, in my movie, the main thing is that the woman is much more dominant, in the dominant position than the man. In that writing process, it was the question of the time, you know? Time, and when people are stealing your time. I think it's so universal and so interesting, you know? Because when you split with somebody, you say, okay, the first thing that everybody says is, he stole my time, you know? And I think when we found that idea, it was the base for the fight scene, you know? It's a question of what you sacrifice when you are in the creative process or in, you know, when you are involved in something in your job. And in the movie, of course, the boy is getting visually impaired because the father was in the creative process, you know, and he just led the boy in the school and patati. But what is very interesting is what are you sacrificing when you are involved in a patient and in your work, but when it's a patient, yes. I think it's a question of cleaning my room. But it's not a therapy, it's not a therapy, because I don't believe in that. Making movies allows me to blow everything, to all my fears, all my desire, all the things. It's exorcise in a way, exorcise in a way. Yes, I think. But first of all, I think it's I clean my room in doing films. And for me, much more now, because we are in a moment where social media is so important. I think movies is really the opposite of a tweet, so it's to give some place for complexity.